The COVID-19 crisis has shown us that our old systems are not fit anymore for the 21st century. In short, we need a great reset.
Welcome to World vs. Virus, a podcast from the World Economic Forum that aims to make sense of the COVID-19 outbreak. This week, as we rebuild the global economy, how can we make it better than the old one? This episode is all about the Great Reset.
We have an incredible opportunity to create entirely new sustainable industries, investing in nature as the true engine of our economy.
The current global crisis has disrupted every aspect of our lives, but it has also presented us with an extraordinary opportunity, a chance to reset and accelerate efforts to improve the state of our world.
Changing our current trajectory will require bold and imaginative action, together with determination and decisive leadership. In order to secure our future and to prosper, we need to evolve our economic model, putting people and planet at the heart of global value creation. If there is one critical lesson we have to learn from this crisis, we need to put nature at the heart of how we operate. We are on the verge of catalytic breakthroughs that will alter our view of what is possible and profitable within the framework of a sustainable future. We need nothing short of a paradigm shift, one that inspires action at revolutionary levels and pace. We simply cannot waste any more time. The only limit is our willingness to act. And the time to act is now.
The COVID-19 crisis has shown us that our old systems are not fit anymore for the 21st century. It has laid bare the fundamental lack of social cohesion, fairness, inclusion, and equality. Now is the historical moment, the time, not only to fight the virus, but to shape the system for the need for the post-corona era.
The Great Reset is a welcome recognition that this human tragedy must be a wake-up call. As you rightly say, it is imperative that we reimagine, rebuild, redesign, reinvigorate, and rebalance our world.
But these are unprecedented times. Every person on the planet has been impacted by the coronavirus pandemic. Our world came to a standstill, and it became clear that we did not have the answer or the mechanisms to address such an unprecedented global threat. The threats posed by this dreadful pandemic came upon us suddenly with very little warning. The threat of climate change has been more gradual, but its devastating reality for many people and their livelihoods around the world, and its ever greater potential to disrupt, surpasses even that of COVID-19. We have a golden opportunity to seize something good from this crisis. Its unprecedented shockwaves may well make people more receptive to big visions of change, and global crises like pandemics and climate change know no borders and highlight just how interdependent we are as one people sharing one planet.
History would look at this crisis as the great opportunity for reset. From the perspective of the IMF, what we see is inevitably a very massive injection of fiscal stimulus to help countries deal with this crisis and shift gear for growth to return. But it is paramount that this growth leads to a greener, smarter, and more fairer world in the future. I'm particularly keen to take advantage of the low oil prices today to eliminate harmful subsidies and to bring in place carbon price as an incentive for the investments for the future. Secondly, we know the digital economy is the big winner of this crisis.
We have a choice to remain passive, which would lead to the amplification of many of the trends we see today: polarization, nationalism, racism, and ultimately increased social unrest and conflicts. But we have another choice. We can build a new social contract, particularly integrating the next generation. We can change our behavior to be in harmony with nature again. And we can make sure that the technologies of the fourth industrial revolution are best utilized to provide us with better lives. In short, we need a great reset.
Trust is still low 10 or more years after the financial crisis. And that seems a good enough reason to say we need to rethink the various fixes that were put in place after the 2008-2009 crisis and see what more profound change can be brought through into business and finance. So a movement to reset capitalism is already underway. One opportunity in 2020 is that lots of business people are now talking about purpose and the need to instill new ways beyond pure shareholder value.
What you're seeing happening today is a very necessary return to stakeholder capitalism, if you like, i.e. the idea that business and markets should be set within a wider social context and a legal and political framework. We're not just moving from a world of narrow shareholder focus to stakeholder focus. We're also moving towards a world where investors increasingly recognize they need to look at the long term. You need to have a wider sense of what context you're operating in.
Investors and business executives are people just like you and me. They have children. Those children are skiving schools on Friday to go on strike against the environment, and this really sharpens the issue for people. Suddenly, investors are looking much more seriously at how do we become good stewards of the global environment? How do we look ourselves in the eye in 20 years' time and think that we did the right thing?
Each year that we advance into the 21st century, a younger generation that is worried about the purpose of the corporation, the purpose of capitalism, and that's an optimistic sign, I think, that people will be able to lead this change in 2020 in ways that they weren't necessarily in previous years.
So where is this change going to come from over the next year? Well, there's lots of statistics out there that show that the younger people are, the more they care about these issues. These young people are going to become customers of banks, of pension providers, of the entire financial services industry. The competitive pressure that's going to come from firms looking to snag business from these people as they develop wealth, as they become older, is getting increasingly intense.
There will be an increasing clamour of people asking for business leaders to deliver on promises that they made in 2019, notably the Business Roundtable. People will start asking those 180 or so signatories of that statement, what have they actually done in 2020?
For the finance and market sectors that I'm primarily focused on, the real thing is figuring out how to get money to green projects. How do we issue green bonds? How do we help companies that are trying to transition away from being dirty, oily companies into green technology? Where does the money come from for that process? That's what bankers and investors are definitely grappling with now. And they know that if they don't get this right, that next generation, the Greta Thunberg generation, is not going to be interested in using their services.
On the downside, of course, though, although we might hope in 2020 for there to be more regulatory and policy change to try and reset and curb the worst excesses of capitalism, there are going to be distractions, notably the US presidential election and impeachment, and also in the European scenario, Brexit, and in Asia, China and Hong Kong.
So any investor who's looking at a company or the corporate landscape needs to recognize that if you ignore those risks, you're in danger of essentially seeing the value of your asset being impaired. So if you want to understand the reset that's going on right now, it pays to think about fear and greed. The fear element is pretty clear-cut. Essentially what you have are many C-suites who are waking up and realizing that if they don't start paying attention to stakeholders, they face regulatory pressure, they face consumer backlash, they sometimes face their own protests from their own employees, and they also face potential investor pressure. But the greed element is important too. Some companies also recognize that if they start looking at stakeholders more broadly, they can build for the long term. If they can get ahead of the really important social and environmental changes right now, be that renewable energy, be that non-meat alternatives, be that other ways that you can tap into the growing concerns amongst consumers for sustainable products. If you can do that, then often you can make more money in the long term.
Memorial we can build for those who lost their lives to the pandemic is that greener, smarter, fairer world.
The CEOs of Microsoft, BP and MasterCard added their support for the Great Reset as it was launched this week by the World Economic Forum's founder, Klaus Schwab, and Prince Charles.
As we move from rescue to recovery, we have a unique but rapidly shrinking window of opportunity to learn lessons and reset ourselves on a more sustainable path. It is an opportunity we've never had before and may never have again.
Subscribe.
Once upon a time, business as usual was often good enough. No more. Where we are going, good enough is dead. In a world where everything is connected, where everything is equally excellent, where performance is reaching perfection, there's only one space left to innovate in: you. Right now, you are a central point in the raging tornado of change fueled by digitization, mobilization, augmentation, disintermediation, automation. Well, the list goes on. Science fiction is becoming science fact. Think about self-driving cars or computers that can learn and think. The way we work will never be the same. The skills we need will be dramatically different. Winning or losing are now happening faster than ever before. So what's your response? How will you discover new opportunities in one of the most transformational times in human history? Are you driving change, or are you being driven by it? Disruption has become the new normal. With change, it's always gradually, then suddenly, well, things really have stopped happening gradually. This change is exponential. Everything that used to be dumb and disconnected is now wired and intelligent. Cars, cities, ports, farms, even our bodies will be wired with sensors and will talk to each other. These game changers are also combinatorial. They amplify each other, creating a perfect storm of change. Quantum computing fuels big data. The Internet of Things fuels artificial intelligence and deep learning, which fuels robotics. However, anything that cannot be digitized or automated will become extremely valuable. Human-only traits such as creativity, imagination, intuition, emotion, and ethics will be even more important in the future, because machines are very good at simulating, but not at being. Yes, robots and software will do some of our work, but this will allow us to focus on things that cannot be automated. To imagine change squared, you've got to start engaging more with what might be, not just with what is. Immerse yourself in the immediate future, 5 to 7 years out from today. We need to go beyond technology and data to reach human insights and wisdom. Technology represents the how of change, but humans represent the why. The future is about holistic business model. The opportunity is to be liquid, to learn just in time, not just in case, not single improvements, but complete transformations, not individual systems, but new ecosystems. Humanity is where true and lasting value is created. We will engage, relate, and buy things because of the experiences they provide, because of their transformative power. The future doesn't just happen. The future gets happened. The new way to work is to embrace technology, but not to become it. The future is in technology, yet the bigger future lies in transcending it. Let's live and lead from here.
It's not just about technology, it's about the future of how people are going to live and work.
We are at a pivot point in history. Humanity will change more in the next 20 years than in the 300 years before. Technology is now the defining factor of our society. We will be able to travel virtually to the most amazing places directly from our living room or using our mobile devices. Billions of devices and objects will be connected in the Internet of Things. Soon, technology is moving inside of us, becoming a part of us. Our contact lenses will be connected to the Internet, and nanobots will be in our bloodstreams, fixing our cholesterol. Life will be magical, abundant, full of possibilities. What could be better? Because we know, don't we, that what makes us human will never change. I know what you're thinking. Connectivity is like oxygen. We need it to live. Even at the price of losing our privacy? Your connected car, your smart fridge, your wearables will talk to your doctor and your insurance company. Yes, indeed, data is the new oil. These exponential changes are unstoppable. Man and machine will converge. We are about to transcend humanity. Is it creepy or useful? Is it heaven or is it hell? What will it mean to be human in a world where everyone will need to be amplified or augmented by algorithms? By 2027, computers are likely to match the capacity of the human brain, perhaps even reach some kind of awareness or emotional intelligence. Yes, artificial intelligence and cognitive computing are incredibly powerful. But if we fail to consider the unintended consequences, such as, for example, an intelligence explosion, these advances could be more dangerous than nuclear weapons. Why would we expect robots or artificial intelligence to share or even understand human values, ethics, and emotions? Technology doesn't have ethics, but the future of humanity depends on it. We need to spend just as much time on the norms and the values and the context than we spend on technology itself. After all, the future is not just something that happens to us, the future is something that we create. Are you ready for your future shock? Come with me and see where the story takes us next.
can change our behavior to be in harmony with nature again. And we can make sure that the technologies of the fourth industrial revolution are best utilized to provide us with better lives. In short, we need a great reset. We have to mobilize all constituents of our global society to work together. We must not miss this unique window of opportunity.
The